Noise, pollution, stress. The price we pay for modern living, for technology. Our technological approach has paid off in many ways, but have we forgotten age-old remedies? Non-Western medical systems see man as a complex creature whose mind, body, and spirit play vital roles in health and illness. In Bali, the attitude to disease and to curing it is in distinct contrast to ours. Since its earliest days, medicine has been entwined with magic and religion, ritual and spirits, which helped explain an unpredictable universe. The Balinese attitude to self and the environment has developed control of mind over body in ways we still don't understand. The healer, who is called a Balian, sits cross-legged in a tiny temple facing a small altar and puts himself into deep trance by bell ringing and chanting. The healer is calling up ancestral spirits to diagnose and cure illness. This, he says, is when the ancestor spirit enters his body. The ancestor spirit speaks through him in a high-pitched voice, and the healer replies in his own voice. He discusses the diagnosis with the spirit, as a Western doctor might with a specialist. That world of spirits, ritual, belief, and magic is as old as man. And to interpret and influence it, a figure of power and healing was needed, the shaman. This film, made in 1929 in the Arctic, shows an Eskimo Angakok, or shaman, calling on spirit helpers. An animated film made by the grandson of a great Eskimo shaman illustrates the superhuman powers, including levitation, ascribed to shamans. Legend has it that the shamans knew everything. They regularly healed the sick, and it's claimed they could walk on water and even raise the dead. The shaman's spirit leaves his body, and the body will remain dead till the spirit returns. The spirit becomes an animal and crawls. It was believed the shaman's spirit could not only assume animal forms, but could travel the heavens and enter the underworld. The spirit prepares to re-enter the body. Leaving the body was dangerous for the shaman. If his spirit became lost during its journeys, the body would remain a corpse. This film, shot at Pelly Bay in 1961 by anthropologist Dr. Azin Baleksi, shows a shaman healing a sick boy. He communicates with the spirits by jerking on a rope tied to the head of a healthy man. The sick boy lies quietly. The healing seance, or krila, ends with the shaman speaking directly to his spirit helpers. Is a 27th generation healer of the Anigadoa clan of the Cherokee Indians. This healing ceremony was filmed in New York State within 200 miles of that teeming city. In these serene woodlands, ancestral ceremonies like this one have been held for thousands of years. Shamanistic traditions still exist, although hidden.
You meet the head of the fire. This is our relative. The fire, it is the doorway. It is the gate from whence all things come. Please sit down.
This woman is suffering from chronic back pain.
This, it is a hawk wing. It is to remind you and to clarify the air element of your being, that all is well. Washing away the thoughts that obscure and hinder. I ask this crystal friend to renew the sacred voice in yourself, that you can make a choice between what is and what isn't, that you may see the true reality of your being, and that you may live in harmony with your sacred duties. Away, oh, away. The wind has come, and it says to us that all is well. It has begun in beauty, and it has ended in beauty. The elements, they affirm that our ceremonies are correct. When the crickets sing, when the wind blows the trees, when there has not been a wind before, that indicates that the ceremony is complete. It indicates that what was breaking the flow has been renewed, and that your road is a smooth one.
In Bali, people at times request extra protection against evil influences, and a special drawing is prepared. It's part of an oral tradition which was passed down to the healer and which he will teach to his selected apprentice. The healer utters a form of prayer called a mantra before explaining that the drawing gives total protection. The mantra gives the drawing its power and authority.
Iki penulak sarwala. Iki this mean this drawing, you know. Penulak sarwala, this mean full total protection.
Bringing an offering and accompanied by her husband, a woman arrives for a consultation much as we would consult our general practitioner. In this rural area, the Balian is responsible for the health of the village. The woman complains of stomach pain and soreness in her chest. He checks the eyes. The pulse. Taps her back to check for evil spirits. He prescribes herbal medicine, followed by a ceremony to wash away the illness. The Balian chants over the water.
Lara teka saking wetan mulih maring wetan, lara teka saking kidul mulih maring kidul, lara teka saking kulon mulih maring kulon, lara teka saking lor mulih maring lor, lara teka saking tengah mulih maring tengah, ngemakin sang yang putar bayu nganggung mangsur ayu pawitrem pramem saraswatrem tiga nyanang yana muswaha.
Balinese believes spirits are closely associated with water. He pours the water onto the woman to wash away her illness. This symbolic washing away of affliction is common not only in Bali, but also in many other cultures. Nairobi, the capital of Kenya, is one of the largest and most modern cities in East Africa. Yet this witch doctor enjoys a thriving practice using age-old tribal traditions. A sick woman is brought with symptoms of stomach pain. He begins by drawing out the disease. Then he touches the affected area with a tortoise. In many cultures, live animals are commonly used as totem objects. He drinks a herbal mixture, then blows out the liquid as a fine mist. We will see a similar ritual in voodoo healing later in this episode. Voodoo has its roots in Africa. Islam is the predominant religion in Mombasa, Kenya's main port. But the traditions of Islam have become blended with African elements, including herbalism. This doctor offers many different treatments, a range of physical medicine, including herbalism, and he also uses the holy word of Islam. The patient has an emotional problem. The doctor carefully selects from the Quran a verse relevant to the man's difficulties. He then writes the chosen verse on a clean white plate with special ink made of saffron. He dissolves the holy words in rose water. The sick man waits patiently, full of faith. The water is poured carefully into a bottle. The man will take this water as medicine at regular intervals to calm his mental agitation. Bali is a land of high culture, where art, religion, and tradition are intimately connected. But in a land where spirits are believed so abundant, possession by evil spirits would seem inevitable. Exorcism is often required. This boy's father believes he is possessed and has brought him to the healer. The father, on the right, is extremely concerned that if not treated, the boy will injure himself or even die. A magic belt is put over the boy's head. The belt has pockets containing drawings like the ones we saw earlier as protection against evil. The boy pulls away, proving that an evil spirit has entered his body. 3 men are now restraining him. To drive out the spirit, the boy is touched with a special stone. The ritual of sprinkling with holy water is repeated as a climax to the exorcism. The exorcist ritually asks the spirit, "Are you there?" There is no hostile response. The exorcist assures them the boy is all right. He will have to return 3 times for further treatment and will be given herbal medicine. In East Africa, having children gives status, and this woman is infertile. Miriam, on the right, is a TBA, a traditional birth attendant. Because of the shortage of doctors, TBAs deliver 2/3 of the children born in Africa. Wise women like Miriam act not only as midwives, but also as fertility advisors. Miriam has organized the other women in an old African ceremony to sing this patient to conceive. The whole occasion has a joyous, festive atmosphere. This young woman has gone into a trance brought on by drums and singing. To break the trance, Miriam pours water infused with herbs over her head. The infertile woman is also slipping into a trance, carried away by rhythms and excitement. Rhythmic chanting to help induce a trance is used in Bali for Sangyang dances. These dances are used to protect the village by driving away evil spirits which will cause sickness and death. The fire becomes the enemy. In a trance, the dancer attacks it with his feet. Now he's sprinkled with holy water to break the trance. As so often, the ceremony ends with the drinking of blessed water. But firewalking isn't confined to Eastern mysticism. Robert and Loy Young live in Hawaii and run weekend seminars on firewalking in many parts of the world. They claim that anyone can walk through fire if they want to.
When you walked yourself.
The participants build communal consciousness and confide intimate fears to each other to engender group trust. This helps develop mind control.
When you walk up to those coals, they're about 8-10 feet in front of you. When you walk up to those coals, there's like this veil of fear in front of you. And you'll actually feel it. It's actually a real living veil. If you can take that first step onto those coals, and you have made the decision that you're not going to get burnt, and you have your attention 100% focused on where you're going, everything that is necessary to change so that you will not get burned has already occurred. As you walk up to that coals, you're going to feel that veil of fear in front of you. If you can take that first step, everything necessary for you to walk safely across those coals has already been made. All you have to do is keep your attention 100% focused on where you're going, and you just keep walking. Now you have just learned the secret of firewalking.
See what you find, bring it all home to your people. It's your mind. See what you find, bring it all home to your people. See what you
Spiritual healing has a tradition in Europe stretching back over the centuries. For the past 50 years, the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain has run healing clinics. It currently holds 12 clinics a week, at which more than 70 healers treat about 400 people. Tom Johansson, secretary of the Spiritualist Association, is a leader of spiritual healing in England and works extensively in Europe.
Okay, so that's it. Jolly good. Now, let's see what's happening. What's happened here is that a lot of the nerves coming from the lower part of the spine have actually been damaged. This was done, it was a car accident, wasn't it? Yeah. Car accident. A lot of the nerves which motivate the legs were damaged. So we're now hopefully in the process of repairing that damage. But Saeed must do his part. That's so important.
After the treatment, I feel sometimes warmth in my legs, but not in my back. Not hot, but warm.
All healing power comes from the very center of the human being. Now, if any person has compassion and has this real desire to help sick people, now that is the sign of a healer. Learn to balance with all the weight on the right leg, okay? Then move the left foot just a few inches, you know, forward. That you'll wobble and you'll get scared, but tell the mind, stand still. It's going to take a long time, but, you know, in a year or two, and you're walking normal. That's it.
Done it a few times, but with the right leg.
Oh, well, whichever is comfortable for you. Now, Saeed, I want to do an experiment, okay? Now, normally, when you get off that chair, somebody like your mother or myself, we go behind and we lift you. Now, what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to hold the chair tight, just the chair, and I want you to try and get on your feet by yourself. I will hold the chair so you won't fall over the chair. Will you do that? Will you try? You've never done it before. And I'm right behind you, in case you fall. Now, that's it. Steady yourself. Put the mind right. That's right. Now then, you should do that every time. That adds to the confidence, that adds to the sense of balance. And then when you've done that about a dozen times, you'll do it easy, without so much effort. Okay?
I know what I do, and I know the process I go through to do healing. Why it works with some people and not others, I don't know, because it does not center on faith. You've got this old argument that you have to believe for healing to work. We get people coming here who have every belief in the world that I'm the only person that can help them, and I can't do a thing. And the opposite also occurs, where we get complete skeptics coming as a last resort, and something happens to them. I start off by placing my hands on the person's shoulders. During that time, I'm trying to gain an attunement with the person that I'm working with. At a certain point, I'm aware that everything within me starts to slow down. My breathing slows down, my pulse seems to slow down. When we've done experiments, and they've measured, for example, my brainwave patterns, it's been found that my brainwave patterns also slow right down. Now, at a certain point, there's no longer them and me. It's as if we become completely at one, as if we're merged. And then I get very, very strong feelings in my hands, usually feelings of terrific heat. I've often had people, for example, reckoning that I've got heating pads. Sometimes I get a mild tingling sensation. That's often felt by the patient. I work completely intuitively. I don't think consciously where I'm placing my hands. I know nothing about medicine or anatomy, and I've made sure that I know nothing, simply because if I knew too much, my logical knowledge would get in the way of what I'm doing. And usually what happens when I'm working with somebody is I get a stream of spontaneous images flowing through my mind. which seem in some way to relate to the problem or to the healing taking place. I know when I've done all I can in one go, either because I lose the sense in my hands, or because I find myself thinking back in words again rather than pictures. When I'm doing healing, I tend to think in pictures rather than words. So apart from that, I don't really know what I am doing. The best description perhaps I can give it, and it sounds corny, but I don't have any better words, is to say that I feel I'm channeling some form of universal, unconditional love. And the healing doesn't come from me. I'm merely a channel for it.
It was very warm, and it was a sensation, but it's hard to describe what the sensation was. But something has happened, and, you know, I'm glad I did come.
Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Haiti's population of 5.5 million is largely Catholic and intensely religious. Living in one of the poorest countries in the world, many people have turned to voodoo for spiritual comfort and medical help. The drumming and dancing of voodoo offer excitement and religious ecstasy as part of the healing ceremony. Voodoo is a blend of Christian practices and old African gods. Peristyle is the home of Max Beauvoir, a voodoo master who trained at New York University and in France as a scientist.
Officially, what is said here in Haiti is that this country is 70% Catholic, 30% Protestant, and 100% voodoo. That would, of course, tend to make us believe that voodoo is widely practiced all around the country. In its many forms, its religious aspect, its social aspects, and its medicinal aspects, and the many aspects of it. In fact, what has to be understood is that even though we are at about 10 kilometers of the center of Port-au-Prince, in Haiti, we only have 513 physicians, licensed physicians, and which is about 1 per 100,000. So in fact, the need for voodoo is very obvious. This would be a good reason, even though I don't like to use such a reason, it looks negative. I think voodoo, in its medicinal aspect, the voodoo medicine is very appropriate. In fact, our plants, as you can see, are good preservers of our pharmacological substances. They need no refrigeration, so they need no freezing. You just have to pull it. It feeds our economy, and it fits the size of our pocket. Because when you think that many people here earn only about, what, $300–400 a year, how can they afford other type of medicine, which is much more costly? I can very well understand the point of view of those Western medicine people. It's simply because they choose to limit themselves to what is materialistic. For them, man, like plants, are body, and many body. The basic knowledge for them would be, of course, anatomy and physiology and many sciences that are related to what they can put under their senses. However, we strongly believe here in Haiti, in voodoo, that people are flesh and body, of course, but more than that, they are spirits. The real value of man reside in its value of spirit, spiritual values. This is true in the trees. This is true for the animals. And this is true for even certain stones. All of them have spirits. And that's the spirit which is main when you think in terms of life, the life of people and the life of plants. Now, we talked about the spirits of the plant because this is what is real. The body is only superficial. The roots, the barks, the wood, even the leaf and the whole thing are superficial. What is real in here is the spiritual part of the plant. And that's what we use mainly in our treatments.
This healing ceremony has never before been filmed. Vessels for the ceremony are laid on the altar with much pomp. In Haiti, the language is Creole, but in voodoo rites, they speak an old African language. Though the ceremony continues for 4 hours, the level of drumming is frenzied. This is the high priestess, who will assist Max Beauvoir during the ceremony. Fills his mouth with rum and blows it out in a fine mist. The witch doctor in Africa performed a similar ritual. The ceremony moves into the garden at Peristyle, which has been specially planted with medicinal herbs and healing plants. The priestess asks the spirit of the tree for permission to take leaves for the ritual. Among the plants they have picked is belladonna. A woman cracking a whip drives away evil spirits. The leaves are washed to extract their spirit into the water. Their spirit plays an important part in the exorcism to follow. The chicken also plays a vital part in the ritual. Beauvoir puts the chicken onto the altar and incantations are made over it. This woman is slipping into frenzy and they believe is possessed by a spirit. As the ritual builds, they call a spirit named Simbi Andezo the healer, without whom the ceremony will not be successful. Pulls the head off the chicken, spattering the frenzied woman with blood. Now in a cauldron with the washed leaves is mashed into a sacred paste. Rum is poured in and set alight. It burns with a blue flame, which is important in voodoo ritual. The cigar in Max Beauvoir's mouth is part of the ritual. Tobacco has always been a sacred drug used by shamans and medicine men. The third stage of the ritual is an exorcism. The sacred paste is taken to the temple, called a humfo, or house of the spirit, where the sick woman is waiting. The woman is lying on a bed of special leaves. She is paralyzed, believing a spell has been placed on her, and an evil spirit has occupied her body. She will waste away and die within 10 days if the curse is not removed. Beauvoir tells his helpers, be gentle. The sacred paste made of leaves and the dead chicken is rubbed over her body in a kind of ritual washing. A special stone is sitting in a dish of rum. The rum is lit and burns with a blue flame. Beauvoir places the stone on the woman's body, symbolically washing her with fire. Now the actual exorcism. He passes a live chicken carefully up and down the woman's body several times. The belief is that the leaves and the holy paste force the evil spirit to pass from the woman into the chicken. Beauvoir sprinkles the woman's body with salt. The final stage of the ritual is to re-infuse the woman with the spirit of life, which is called Dan. The egg is a symbol of life. He holds a piece of eggshell to her nose and commands her, breathe. Asking her to breathe in the spirit of life. The woman is beginning to respond. Get her up, he tells them. Get her up. He asks her to move her arms and legs, which she had believed were paralyzed. She does so, proving the evil spirit has gone. The chicken drawn along the woman's body has now died, killed, they believe, by the passing of the evil spirit into it. They cover her with a white sheet, and she will stay like this for 3 days. Then the cure will be certain.